Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today, we're revising the inspector calls and we're going to be thinking about the quote, "Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty?" Before we get going, don't forget to like and subscribe. There are plenty of things on the channel to help you revise and inspector calls. Okay, let's analyse the quote, "Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty?" So let's firstly think about where this quote appears in the play. Sheila says, "Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty?" And she says this in Act 1 when Gerald presents her with an engagement ring and she's talking to Mrs Birling about it. Now we need to think about some analytical things that we can say about this quote. Here's a thing that we can say. Sheila is at this point materialistic and superficial. She only cares about what's on the surface. Beauty signifies her interest in wealth and possessions and links her to her parents. They are also people who are simply interested in themselves and their own position in society. Another thing that we can say about this quote is this. The fact that she calls Mrs Birling mummy infantilises her and reflects the idea that she has no responsibility in her life because of her privilege. So she seems quite childish here. She hasn't got any responsibility and she's still treated very much like a child by her parents. There's this idea that she's a child until she's married that is a feature of her position in society. Another thing that we can say about this quote is this. The fact that she asks Mrs Birling to look is ironic. They're both metaphorically blind characters and can't see the truth. Now we can link this moment in the play to a moment later on in Act 2. Later on, Sheila says, "Look, mother, can't you see?" This is when Eric and his involvement becomes apparent to her. So this is what we could say in response to this moment to make that link. There's an ironic echo to this moment, the moment that we were talking about from Act 1, in Act 2 when Sheila has realised that Eric is the father. She's a changed character by this point and is no longer metaphorically blind, and she has an adult perspective signified by the way she now calls Mrs Birling mother. Quite interesting, when she sees that picture of Eva Smith, she gives a half-stifled sob, and from that moment on, she actually calls Mrs Birling mother and not mummy to signify that change in the character. When we write our essay, what we'll need to do is use PEA. So here's a point that we could make. In Act 1, Sheila is a symbol for middle-class privilege and wealth and only cares about herself and can't see the truth. So she doesn't understand the impact that her privilege and wealth has on others in society. The reason why this is a great point is because there are a number of different keywords in it that could be the focus of an essay question that we could have to write in the exam. If we're asked about Sheila or symbolism or class or privilege or wealth or the truth, then all of these different ideas are being explored in that point. So this paragraph that I'm modelling for you would fit into any essay. I'm now going to introduce the quote. So I've used my point. Now I need to introduce the quote itself. So Sheila says, "Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty?" I could mention the context briefly if I wanted to. She says this in Act 1 after being given the engagement ring by Gerald. And then I'm going to simply add some analysis. The fact that she asked Mrs Birling to look is ironic. They're both metaphorically blind characters and can't see the truth. I'm going to try and add layers of analysis. I'm not just going to say one thing. If I can say 2 or 3 things about this quote to really explore it, I'm going to be showing that I can provide a sophisticated response and get myself further up that mark scheme. Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask for something you'd like to see me cover in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and keep revising.